There comes a pivotal moment in every parent's life when the relationship with their children begins to change. For decades, you've poured your heart into raising them, nurturing their dreams, guiding their choices, and sacrificing your own needs to ensure their happiness. You've been their provider, their supporter, their safe haven. But one day you notice a shift. Perhaps they start ignoring your advice, dismissing your opinions as irrelevant, or speaking to you in a way that feels condescending or hurtful. In some cases, they may even make you feel like a burden, as though your presence is an inconvenience. This change can be deeply painful, stirring feelings of frustration, anger, or even betrayal. You might want to remind them of the years you spent putting them first, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the love. But here's a hard truth: reacting with anger or demands for respect rarely works. In fact, it often widens the gap, leaving you feeling more disconnected. There's a better way to restore the respect you deserve, one that doesn't involve arguments, resentment, or emotional outbursts. In this guide, I'll share 6 practical steps to help you regain your children's respect. These are straightforward changes in how you carry yourself, respond to their behavior, and live your life. Some may challenge your instincts, but if you stay with me until the end, you'll learn how to reclaim your place as a valued, respected figure in their lives. Let's dive in. Step 1. Stop seeking their approval. One of the most common mistakes parents make as their children become adults is trying too hard to please them. You might find yourself rearranging your schedule to accommodate their needs, saying yes when you want to say no, or prioritizing their happiness over your own, hoping they'll appreciate your efforts. You might think, if I just do enough, they'll see how much I care and respect me more. But the reality is, the more you chase their approval, the less respect you receive. Respect isn't built through endless self-sacrifice. It's rooted in self-respect. When you constantly put your needs aside to keep the peace, you send a message that your feelings, time, and well-being are secondary. Over time, this can lead your children to take you for granted, assuming you'll always put them first, no matter how they treat you. Consider Margaret, a woman in her late 60s who was once a confident, independent mother. In her younger years, she balanced raising 3 children with a demanding career. But as her children grew into adults, she began to change. She stopped asserting herself, fearing that disagreements might strain their relationship. She'd cancel plans to babysit at a moment's notice, stay silent when they spoke to her sharply, and avoid sharing her opinions to prevent conflict. "I just want to keep the family together," she told a friend. But instead of fostering closeness, her children began to see her as someone who would always give in. They stopped valuing her time and presence, taking her sacrifices for granted. The turning point came at a family gathering when her daughter snapped at her in front of others. Margaret felt humiliated but stayed silent. Later, she realized her efforts to please her children were diminishing their respect for her. So, she made a change. She started setting boundaries, saying no to last-minute requests if they didn't suit her, expressing her thoughts even if they disagreed, and prioritizing her own plans. For example, when her son asked her to drop everything for an errand, she calmly said, "I have plans today, but I can help another time." At first, her children were surprised. They weren't used to her asserting herself. But over time, they began to see her as a person with her own life, not just a parent who existed to serve them. Their respect grew not because she demanded it, but because she showed she valued herself. If you're in a similar situation, stop chasing your children's approval. This doesn't mean becoming distant. It means respecting yourself enough to set boundaries. Say no when needed, share your opinions, and prioritize your well-being. When you demonstrate self-respect, your children will begin to mirror it, and their respect for you will grow naturally. Step 2. Don't argue, lead by example. When your children dismiss your opinions, interrupt you, or treat you with disrespect, your instinct might be to argue. You may want to remind them of all you've done, the years of support, the sacrifices, or demand they listen. But arguing rarely leads to respect. Think about it. When has a heated debate convinced someone to value you more? Respect is earned through your presence, your actions, and how you handle challenging moments. Arguing signals to your children that they can unsettle you emotionally. When you respond with anger, you reinforce their power, making it harder to regain respect. Instead, lead by example. Show them what respect looks like through your calm, confident behavior. Take Frank, a retired high school teacher in his late 60s. Known for commanding respect in the classroom, he struggled at home. His adult children ignored his advice, dismissed his concerns about their choices, and sometimes mocked him when he tried to offer guidance. At first, Frank argued back, raising his voice to remind them of his sacrifices, but this only made things worse. His children became defensive, and the gap widened. Realizing this wasn't working, Frank changed his approach. He started listening calmly even when they were dismissive. When interrupted, he'd say, "I'll wait until you're ready to hear me." When they dismissed his opinions, he spoke with quiet confidence, refusing to engage in disputes. His dignity spoke louder than any argument. Over time, his children noticed his strength and composure, and their respect for him grew. If your children disrespect you, resist the urge to argue. Model respect through your actions. Stay calm, maintain your dignity, and respond with grace. Your consistent example will inspire them to follow, even if it takes time. If you're finding this helpful, comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated. Step 3. Release emotional dependence. One of the toughest lessons for parents is realizing you can't rely on your children for emotional fulfillment. You love them deeply and want their love and respect in return, but when they sense you need their validation, the dynamic shifts. They may feel burdened, leading to impatience or withdrawal. The more you seek their attention, the less they give. People respect those who are emotionally independent. Depending on your children for happiness creates pressure, causing them to pull away. To regain respect, focus on finding fulfillment within yourself. Helen, a mother in her early 70s, faced this challenge. After her children started their own families, she felt lonely and called them, often expressing how much she missed them. But her frequent calls were met with short, impatient responses, as if they were obligations. Feeling isolated, Helen decided to change. She joined a local gardening club, took up painting, and reconnected with old friends. She even enrolled in a community theater group, something she'd always wanted to try. As she built a fulfilling life, her children noticed. They called to ask about her painting or theater rehearsals, intrigued by her independence. Their respect grew not from duty but from admiration for her vibrant life. The less you depend on your children emotionally, the more they'll respect you. Pursue hobbies, friendships, or personal goals. Show them you're strong and fulfilled, and they'll value you as a person, not just a parent. Step 4. Set and enforce boundaries. Children lose respect when parents tolerate disrespectful behavior. If you allow dismissive comments, interruptions, or disregard for your feelings, they'll continue, not because they're unkind, but because people treat you as you allow. Without boundaries, disrespect becomes the norm. Setting boundaries doesn't mean conflict. It means clearly defining what you'll accept and standing firm. This shows your time and feelings matter. Robert, a retired businessman in his late 60s, struggled with this. His children interrupted him and dismissed his opinions. Initially, he let it slide, thinking it wasn't worth a fight, but he realized his silence enabled their behavior. So he set boundaries. When interrupted, he said, "I'll speak when you're ready to listen." When dismissed, he replied, "You don't have to agree, but respect me." If they pushed, he limited contact, saying, "We'll talk when you're respectful." At first, they resisted, but over time, they adjusted, respecting his firmness. Ask yourself, are you allowing disrespect? Set clear boundaries and enforce them calmly. When you value yourself, your children will start to value you too. If this resonates, comment number 4 below. Subscribe to support our content. Step 5. Stop giving without appreciation. Parents often give endlessly, time, support, money out of love. But when your generosity is met with entitlement, it erodes respect. Giving without appreciation teaches children your efforts are expected, not valued. This doesn't mean stopping generosity, it means ensuring it's valued. Respect grows when your contributions are seen as gifts, not obligations. George, a father in his 70s, was always there for his children, helping financially and accommodating their needs. But they rarely thanked him, expecting his help. When he needed support, they were too busy. Frustrated, George set limits. He stopped offering help unless asked and said no when necessary. When his daughter requested last-minute babysitting, he declined if he had plans, saying, "I'm not available today, but let's plan ahead." At first, his children were upset, but they soon began appreciating his efforts, saying thank you and planning ahead. His boundaries earned their respect. If your children don't value your kindness, reassess your giving. Set limits and expect appreciation. When they see your efforts as valuable, respect will follow. Step 6. Build your own life to regain respect. Show your children your happiness doesn't depend on them. When your life revolves around them, they may feel burdened or see you as lacking purpose. People respect those with their own passions and fulfillment. Eleanor, a widow in her 70s, faced this. After her husband's death, she focused on her children calling often and offering advice. But this pushed them away, their visits dwindled. Feeling alone, Eleanor rebuilt her life. She joined a book club, traveled with friends, and volunteered at an animal shelter. As she thrived, her children noticed. They called to hear about her adventures, admiring her independence. Their respect grew, seeing her vibrant life. Do your children see you as fulfilled or dependent? Pursue hobbies, friendships, or goals? When they see you thriving, they'll respect you as a person, not just a parent. If this helps, comment number 6 below. Subscribe to stay connected. Final thoughts: regaining your children's respect isn't about demands or arguments. It's about inspiring it through actions. Stop seeking approval, because valuing yourself earns respect. Lead by example, letting dignity speak louder than words. Release emotional dependence, showing strength and independence. Set boundaries to teach respect. Stop giving without appreciation, so your kindness is valued. Build a life of purpose, proving you're more than a parent. These changes will shift how your children see you, not as someone needing validation, but as someone commanding respect. Their respect will return, earned through your strength and grace. Thank you for reading. Share one thing you learned and how you'll apply it in the comments. Your thoughts inspire us. Like, subscribe, and share to support our mission. See you soon.